Good day, welcome to the Great White North. This is the Venus Optics Laowa 100mm f2.8 2x macro lens. And in this video, I'm going to show you why I think this is such a fun lens. Firstly, there is no shortage of 100mm or 105mm macro lenses. Nearly every reputable lens manufacturer makes one. Canon, Nikon, Sony, Sigma, Tokina, Rokinon, Pentax. But what makes this Laowa so much fun? Well, of the lenses I just mentioned, it is the second most affordable, and spending less money is always heaps of fun. Then it's the only lens of the bunch that can produce a 2x magnification. And whether you're a seasoned macro photographer or you're someone who's just jumping into the world of macro photography, being able to produce 2x magnification is incredibly fun. And your fun is not limited by your camera's mount. This lens is available in a plethora of mounts that I can't remember them all, so they're over there. This lens has 12 optical elements in 10 groups, and this Canon EF mount version has 9 aperture blades. The Nikon F mount has 7 aperture blades, and then the Canon RF, the Nikon Z, the Sony, and the Pentax, they all have 13 aperture blades. And regardless what version of the lens it is, they all produce some very pleasing bokeh. And that bokeh is completely free of any chromatic aberration. And this lack of chromatic aberration anywhere is really one of this lens's strongest selling points. The front of the lens has a 67mm filter thread, and I will touch on why this is incredibly important in just a moment. The 100mm focal length produces a 24.4 degree field of view, which is exactly the same or very close to every 100mm focal length lens. At its 2x magnification, the minimum focusing distance is 25 centimeters, which gives you a considerable working distance when compared to other lenses that are capable of producing that 2x magnification. You're gonna have to excuse Cousteau, his attention is now squarely focused on an owl that he just spotted. But today is not about the birds, it is about this Laowa 100mm macro lens, which is one of the sharpest macro lenses I have ever used. It is sharp from wide open at f2.8 all the way to f11, where you're just starting to see a bit of softness from diffraction. From f13 to f22, diffraction becomes a little more aggressive, which is to be expected. It is physics, there's nothing wrong with this lens. This lens is so sharp, it is sharper than the Canon 100mm f2.8 LIS macro, which is twice the price and a bit more, but it's the main competition, at least in my bag. The price difference, though, has a few reasons, and I'm going to touch on those right away. A rather noticeable difference between these two lenses is weather sealing. The Canon has weather sealing, the Laowa does not. And just how non-existent is the weather sealing here? That 67mm filter thread that I said was important earlier, there is a reason this UV filter is included with the lens. It is very exposed to the elements once that filter is gone. And this might not be a deal breaker for you, but if you live in a temperate or a tropical rainforest where precipitation is a guarantee, it is something to consider. Speak of the devil, it is now raining quite heavily. So weather protection for the win, I'm gonna have to take care of this. As someone who focuses equally on video and photography, for me the biggest difference between these two lenses comes down to image stabilization. The Canon, being twice the price and more, has image stabilization. The Laowa does not. Image stabilization can be very beneficial when filming macro subjects. Using high magnifications multiplies and amplifies any shake or vibration in your camera system. However, this probably isn't as big of a deal today as it was 2 or 3 years ago, as most modern cameras have sensor-based stabilization that pair perfectly with this Laowa 100mm. So why pay twice the price and a bit more for the Canon, which is optically inferior, when this is a fun bargain? Continuing with video capture, the lack of image stabilization in the Laowa 100mm does present a few challenges. First is focus. If you were to try pulling focus with your hand at a high magnification value, 2:1, you will create quite a lot of vibration. Your shot will be shaky and completely unusable. The solution is to use some sort of wireless follow focus system. Now, I tried using the Tilta Nucleus Nano, the small one, and unfortunately it had insufficient power to move the rather stiff focus ring. Now, I'm not sure if that's the lens design in general or this specific copy. Fortunately, using the slightly beefier Tilta Nucleus M did the job quite well. Next is camera movement. If you want to introduce any camera movement into your macro shot, your motion control system is going to have to be very high end. There can't be any vibration in that system when your camera is moving along a track, panning or tilting. It will show up in your footage. This is the fully manual Canon EF version of the Laowa 100mm, meaning it is completely manual. The iris, the focus, there's nothing electronically coupled to your camera. And from a video perspective, this can be very beneficial. Being able to make iris adjustments in the middle of a shot with a smooth and declicked iris control is very helpful. Though the frequency of this taking place while capturing macro video isn't that often, as it's quite easy to control the lighting of a small environment. However, from a photography perspective, this is probably not the lens you're looking for. If you stop down your aperture and you try and compose a shot, your viewfinder is quite dark. It's hard to compose, it's hard to focus. Fortunately, there is a Canon EF version that does electronically couple to your camera, which is great because when you look through your viewfinder, your lens is wide open. When you take the photo, it stops down to the aperture that you've selected. Clearly, it is time to start wrapping things up as some are falling asleep. Another reason this lens is so incredibly fun is its versatility. You're able to focus from infinity all the way to 2x magnification. So using just one lens, you could photograph landscapes and portraits or a double life-size image of a Ensatina salamander. Before giving you my final thoughts, I need to tell you that this is not my lens. The great people at Venus Optics reached out and asked if I was interested in giving it a try, and I of course said yes. As a YouTube content creator who focuses on photo and video capture, it is staggering how many unsolicited emails you receive from companies trying to pitch you their product. And the pitch comes with considerable conditions. So when Venus Optics offered up this lens for trial without any catch, it was really refreshing. Now, they let me borrow it for a considerable duration as well, a few months, and it was really the duration spent with this lens that won me over and convinced me it really is an incredibly fun lens to use. wrap things up, I really can't emphasize enough how much fun this lens truly is. Its price point is an amazing bargain, its optical quality is unmatched. You're unable to find a similar lens with the focal range from infinity all the way to 2x magnification. It's a perfect choice if you have a bit of macro experience and you want to take magnification a bit further, or if you have no macro experience at all, this would be your great first macro lens. With that, on behalf of myself and Cousteau, thanks for watching. If you have a question or a comment, put it down below, and we will see you next time. Right? Good dog.